What is good, YouTube? So, at the time of recording this video, I have, I think, 15 or 16 subscribers, which is, nothing in the grand scheme of things. But, it doesn't matter. I'm about to have 100,000 of you anyway, so I'm gonna speak as if I'm speaking to a large audience, and then eventually there will be one. I still don't really know what I want the focus of my channel to be. I know my original intention when I started the channel was to just have strictly an art channel. Sorry, I'm walking my dog and she's off leash, so I'm just making sure she's sticking with me. Hey, come on. But yeah, basically, I'm gonna speak off the cuff. I have no script, I have no plan. So this video could be 5 minutes long, it could be 15, it could be 30, it could be an hour. I don't know. I'm just gonna talk until I feel like I've gotten my point across. So I'm gonna record things, as they come to mind, as I feel inspired. I'm not gonna try to force. I'm not going to try to force creativity. I do the same thing with my art. I feel like when you force creativity, it just never results in your best work. So, I'm going to be speaking off the cuff for this. And I want to talk about today manifestation, bro. And I don't even really like to use that word. Because I feel like it puts an image in people's minds of like this, new age, like woo-woo garbage. I remember before I really started looking into this myself, when I would hear about manifestation, my mind would immediately go to like, repeating affirmations in your mind 1,000 times, like, I own a Lamborghini. I own a Lamborghini, and then expecting a Lamborghini is just going to show up in your fucking driveway someday, like magically spawn out of thin air. And, that's not really what manifestation is, and I don't like that word for that reason, because it sounds like you're pulling something out of thin air, which, don't get me wrong, you can do that, and I'll get into that in a minute here. But I don't like to use that word. I prefer to say awareness, because that's really what manifestation is. It is your awareness of everything. And it's not like it's not a skill, it's not a magic trick, it's not something you need to learn how to do. You've been doing it for your entire life. Same way you've been blinking and breathing on autopilot for your entire life. Nobody had to teach you how to do that. What manifestation is, quote unquote manifestation, it is seeing what is in your awareness at all times. Maybe that sounds ridiculous, but I guarantee you, look at your life, give it an honest look, and you will see, sorry, I'm getting my dog real quick. You will see that whatever your life looks like right now, and whatever your dominant thoughts are, I guarantee you that you are a perfect energetic match for whatever life you are living. You might know somebody too. You can see this example in other people. I used to work with this girl at my last job, and not to throw shade at her, she was a sweet girl, but she was like diabolically negative. Just like everything that came out of her mouth was just like, my life sucks, I hate myself, I hate this, I want to kill myself, I blah blah blah. Just like the most, he's one of those people where it's like, I feel for you. Like, I understand you got some, issues with depression or, whatever. But, I mean, you're like a downer. Like, I don't want to be, your energy is like so, it's just not, it's not good. Like, it brings other people down. And that's how negative you are. And the most comically ridiculous things would happen to her. Like, her boyfriend, I don't even know how much personal information I should reveal. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll leave that one. we won't get too, but just trust me when I say, like, the most comically negative shit would happen to her. And then it was because that was all she was focused on. Whatever you focus your attention on, it grows and it stays. And it seems very counterintuitive. If you have financial problems, you think, oh, I need to lock in. I need to focus on these financial issues. But the more you focus on them, the more you'll receive. You receive whatever your attention is on. And I'll give you some examples in my own personal life. And this is how you know how this shit works on autopilot, the same way blinking and breathing works on autopilot. Because I used to be a diabolically negative person myself. And I was a glass half empty, pessimistic, typical kind of like sad boy. And you'll start to notice like patterns in your life, like repeating things. Like, for me, it was relationships that kind of finally woke me up. Oh, it's a little baby bird on the ground. I don't want my dog to fuck with it. Must have fallen out of a nest or something. Hey, stay away from him. Hold on, let me turn my... So one of my tangents that I mentioned in the beginning. Poor guy. Hey! Don't fuck with the bird. On her real quick. Alright, we're gonna leave this guy alone. We're gonna walk over here. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so for me it was relationships. I noticed that, I would get in the same relationship with like the same person over and over again. They'd be different people, but then they would turn out to be the same. This first started when I had my ex-fiance. I was engaged before, believe it or not. Typical like high school sweetheart story. She, one day she just like, without getting too like convoluted and detailed, because I know this video is already like, it's gonna run pretty long. I can feel it already. But we were together for like 6 years, and then one day she just kind of broke up with me out of the blue. Like, and to this day, I mean, this happened in like 2019, so to this day I still don't know why. I don't know. She never really gave me like a reason. I never really got closure. And then from that moment on, that put in my awareness that that's a thing that can happen. That everything can be totally fine, like things can be completely normal between you and your girl, and then one day she can just up and leave. So that's what was in my awareness, right? So what did I keep experiencing after that? Girls leaving. They would just leave inexplicably. It just kept happening over and over and over again. And each time it happened, it would reinforce that belief. It would reinforce that image in my mind. I would go back and now I see, because everything comes from you. Everything comes from your awareness. You're only seeing yourself out there. Literally everything is you pushed out, as Neville says. So, I was getting in these new relationships, and my first thought, even though things would be, good in the beginning, like they usually are, you have that little honeymoon phase where you're both obsessed with each other, and, you want to spend every moment together, you want to jump in their bones, and like, it's like that, like, that high school kind of love story all over again, where you're just like infatuated with this person. And my immediate thought with every new relationship is, when is this gonna go south? When is she randomly gonna, I don't know, get bored and just decide, enough's enough, I'm dipping out? And lo and behold, it would happen every time. And it was like, it's confirmation bias, yes, but that's how our minds work. And they will literally filter your experience to give you that. So I forget how many thoughts we have every day. It's like, what, 60,000 or 100,000, something like that. I don't know. Somebody can leave a comment and correct me, I'm sure. But you only remember, what, 1-2% of them, if that. So the majority of your thoughts are happening on autopilot on a subconscious level, which is a little bit scary when you first learn it, because you're like, damn, I'm really, like, the majority of the decisions that are being made are being kind of made for me by, on a subconscious level. I'm not even aware of them. But that's exactly what is so liberating about this, because just as easily as your subconscious can bring you negative experiences, it can bring you positive ones just as easily. And I'll give you examples of this too. Just the same way that, my subconscious was making sure that I would take the exact right steps to keep meeting the same type of people that would ghost me with no explanation, whether we dated for 3 months or 3 years. It would always end the exact same way. They're dipping out without really telling me why. The same way my subconscious made me take the exact right steps to get with the exact same people, it would make me take the steps to give me exactly what I wanted. My biggest manifestation success story, bro, is something that I did before I even knew what manifestation was. And that is where I'm currently living right now. I live in New York City. It has always been a huge dream of mine to live here. I know some people will hear that and think, what the fuck, what's wrong with you? Like, New York is dirty, it's expensive, it's gross, but, fuck it. I like it. I like cities. I like architecture. I like the culture here, the art scene, the food. Like, yes, there's, pros and cons to every place, but it's something I wanted to do. It's something I wanted to experience. So I was planning on moving here for a really long time. Everybody in my life, when I would mention this, would tell me how impossible it is, how expensive it is, how dangerous it is, how I shouldn't do it, how if I move here I'm gonna go broke, or I'm gonna get shot, stabbed on the train, or it's not gonna be like the movies or the TV shows. And I knew that. I didn't want to move here because of fucking movies and TV. I used to visit here all the time when I was in high school and middle school, and I fell in love with the city. I liked the actual area. I wasn't looking at or whatever. I'm going on a tangent. When me and my ex-fiance broke up, I mentioned before, I was living in Virginia at the time because that's where she wanted to be. And after her and I broke up, I was like, I really don't like it here. The only reason that I was here is gone now. And, fuck it. Like, now's the time. Like, I've been talking about it for years. I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to move to New York. And I'm going to take a year. After me and my fiance broke up, I was like, I'm going to take a year to, kind of resituate myself and, recover, because, that fucks your finances. When you're with somebody for that long, I was living with her. Surprise, surprise. So we were splitting, like, our rent. So, like, my living expenses doubled overnight, basically. I had to pay double the rent. So I had to find a new living situation with a new roommate and a new job and a new, all that shit. So I was like, I'm going to take a year. I'm going to get my finances straight, and then I'm moving to New York. I made the decision, and I stuck to it. I didn't give a shit what anybody said to me, how impossible it is, how I can't do it, how I shouldn't do it, how I shouldn't even want to do it. I was like, nope, I'm moving to New York. And me and her, like I said, we broke up in 2019. We all know what the fuck happened in 2020. Boom, shutdown. So even with that circumstance, that crazy global circumstance in my face, and everybody knows New York got hit the hardest, I still said, nope, I'm moving to New York. I said I was doing it at the end of the year. I'm fucking doing it. So by the end of the year, 2021 rolls around. I get my moving truck. I'm applying to apartments, which, that's hard to do. It's hard to move to New York, period. But from another state during a global pandemic, like, the odds were absolutely stacked against me. But I just kept going within. Nope. I said I'm going to move to New York, so I'm moving to New York. And lo and behold, I applied to this one apartment that was like way out of my league, to be honest with you. Like, it was a luxury apartment, like something that, I was still working in restaurants at the time. I was like bartending and shit. Like, I'm like, this is way out of my budget. The only reason I was able to do it was because of, the shutdown, because the housing market like crashed and the apartments were cheap for a while. They were doing like crazy deals. I think I got the first like 3 months for free, basically. Not basically, it was straight up. I didn't pay rent for 3 months. It was part of the agreement. But I just kept saying nope. So the apartment that I ended up getting, I applied to, and they were like, so yeah, you need proof of income and this and that. And I was just straight up with the landlord. I was like, hey, I don't live in New York yet, so like, I have a job, but it's not there. So and they basically told me like, oh well, sorry, we can't rent this place to you unless you have a job in New York. And I was like, okay. So I started applying for jobs and ran into the same issue. I was like, hey, they're like, when can you start? Because they're still doing like Zoom interviews and shit. And a couple of them were like, when can you start? And I was like, well, that's going to depend on when I can get to the city. And they're like, oh yeah, we can't hire you unless you live here. So I'm like, okay, so I can't get a job unless I have an apartment in the city, and I can't get an apartment unless I have a job in the city. So like, there's got to be some way around this. People move to New York all the time from not only out of state, but from completely foreign countries. So I hit up that original apartment again, and I was like, look, I forget what I even said, but somehow I convinced them to rent the place to me. And then the same thing with the job. I somehow convinced them to schedule an interview for me in person, even though I wasn't physically in New York yet. And I moved there with no job, no guarantee of a job. And within one day, literally, so I got there at night, unpacked my U-Haul, moved into the new place. And then the next day I had this interview in this bar in Midtown. And I did the interview and I got hired on the spot. I was almost mad at how fast I got a job. I was like, I wanted a day or two to like unpack and get settled, But he was like, hey, can you start tomorrow? I'm like, shit, yeah, I guess. But that was before I even knew about manifestation. That just shows you like the power of, when you make a choice and you stick to it and you don't take no for an answer, you don't let anybody stand in your way. And the amount of things that had to fall into place after I made that decision. So I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I manifested a global pandemic and a lockdown to get myself to New York, but this is what I'm trying to convey. You can do this for or against yourself, and most of us do it against ourselves, myself included. I've had other things, like I said before, with the exes. I'd get with a new girl, and my immediate thought would be, when is this going to go south? When is she going to, get bored and ghost or just dip out or whatever? I would do the same thing with money. Every time I would have a decent amount of money saved up where I actually started to feel like comfortable, I could relax, I could have a little bit of fun, go out and like hit up restaurants and bars and stuff, like, and not really worry about the bill, not have to look at it, my immediate thought would be, all right, what's going to happen that's going to take this away from me? And I would always have, some kind of car trouble. It would cost like thousands of dollars to fix, or things of that nature. We're doing this all the time, 24/7. And what you need to realize, well, first of all, you need to understand what you actually are. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. You are God. All right? Like, I used to be like a pretty hardcore atheist. I grew up in a religious household. I was, Christian, as most, Americans are raised Christian, non-denominational. I went to like some mega church, and the whole thing just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't have anything against religious people or people that have that traditional interpretation. Like, that's totally fine. But I think organized religion really is kind of doing humanity a disservice. I think the Bible was probably one of the most misinterpreted books of all time, because there's so many passages in the Bible that say, God dwells within us. God is, everything. He's everywhere. He's these leaves behind me. He's my sunglasses. He's my t-shirt. He's my dog's leash. Like, that's what omnipresent means. Everywhere, all the time, all at once. And that includes us. Every cell in your body is God. Every blood cell, every skin cell, everything, all of it. You can't escape it. And if God dwells within us, that means we must be a part of him. It's not that you are literally, it's not like you're God himself made flesh, but you're a piece of God the same way. If I take a glass to the beach and I scoop up some of the ocean into it, I literally have the ocean in a glass, but it's not the entire ocean. It's just a small piece of it, and then I can throw it back. It will always lead back into the ocean, which is source. So if you really look at your life and you take an honest look about what is my dominant kind of story been? Like, what's your dominant story with love? What's your dominant story with money? What's your everything? Like, literally everything. What's your dominant story with, like, the Starbucks barista? Like, do you walk in there every day thinking they're gonna fuck up your coffee? And then what happens? I bet they do, don't they? But you keep going back for some reason. What's your dominant story about your commute to work? Oh, I'm gonna hit traffic today, bro. I'm running late to work today. There's gonna be an accident. It always happens. Every time I'm running late, there's an accident on the highway. And you get on the highway and there's an accident, and you're like, I fucking knew it. But when you tell people, hey, you can do that in reverse in your favor, then it's like, oh my God, I'm like, you're crazy. That's hard. I can't fathom that. It's too hard to believe. Whatever. We're so trained. We're so brainwashed into, like, always expecting the worst. Always believing in the most negative outcome. I'll give you another success story. And again, this happened before I knew about manifestation, before I was actively trying to manifest, bro. Aside from moving to New York, my biggest dream, for as long as I can remember, since I was in like middle school, I wanted to be a tattoo artist for a living. And I moved here partially to pursue that because New York has such a great art subculture. Nobby. Sorry, I have to make sure my dog keeps following me. She'll get distracted. Come on. I have to call her like a cat. I don't know why whistling doesn't work, but she responds to the cat call. Anyway, so I wanted to be a tattoo artist for like the longest time. And I moved here with another girl, and we ended up breaking up. Again, same exact type of situation, because my mind was just replaying that story over and over again, so that's what it had to show me, because everything's coming from you. So I expected her to leave one day, and lo and behold, she left. And then there it goes again. My rent doubles again overnight because we were splitting rent, and blah blah blah. So I was doing the same shit. I was still bartending and serving, which I really hate. I really hate doing that. And one day I was just like, you know what, fuck it. Like I'm gonna start tattooing. I just decided. I just put it out there in my mind. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. I started, researching. I started learning. I started looking up courses and stuff to, because I did have a tattoo apprenticeship before, but it kind of went south. That's another long story. And I was like, fuck it, like all the information you need nowadays is online for free. So yeah, I'm just gonna look it up. I'm gonna teach myself. I'll buy some. I know they sell like fake skins and stuff. I already had a tattoo machine, so I was like, I'll purchase a few fake skins. I'll practice on those, get a feel for the machine, and I'll practice on my own skin. And one day I was working at this bar in Brooklyn at the time, and I live in Queens. And if you're not familiar with the layout of New York City, even though Brooklyn and Queens border each other, it's very difficult to move in between the two boroughs. Almost all the trains go through Manhattan. It's like you have to make this big loop around through the city and then back out. It's really convoluted and annoying. Especially at night. The trains run extra slow at night because that's usually when they do like construction and maintenance on the tunnels and stuff. So it was a bar in Brooklyn, so obviously it closes quite late because, city never sleeps. And, I was taking this long ass commute home. My train got, I forget what happened. Something happened where like the last half of the tunnel got like shut down or something, so I had to find an alternative route to get home. So I ended up hopping on a different train, and I was gonna have to take like a bus from the last stop on this train. Just like a really out of my way, kind of convoluted way to get home. And I'm just walking. It's like 3 a.m. at this point. That's how long this train ride is taking me. And so I'm walking home, and this dude is like, I have my headphones in. I'm on the street at this point. I just walked off the train, and I'm walking, and this dude's trying to get my attention. He's like waving at me, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, there's like nobody approaching you on the street in New York City at 3 a.m. has anything good to say to you. You're usually going to be asking you for money, or they're like doing something shady, whatever. So I'm just like, no, I'm kind of like shooing him away. I'm like, I don't have any cash. Like, get away from me. I'm just trying to go home. And he's like, no, take your headphones out. So I take my headphones out. He's like, I was just saying, I like your tattoos. Do you want any more? And I'm like, yeah, eventually, but like, I'll be honest with you, I can't really afford tattoos right now. I had just broken up with my girl like a month before this, and like I said, my rent was like doubling on me overnight because we split everything. We split all the bills, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I can afford tattoos right now. But I was kind of like half joking. I was like, hey, but I am trying to be a tattoo artist, so if you guys are hiring. And he's like, yeah, come on up to the shop, let me show you, let me check, introduce you to the other artists. And I was like, all right, cool. So like, we'll go up to the shop and meet some of the other artists there. The owner wasn't there at the time, but he's like, I'll pass on your information. He's like, you got an Instagram? I'm like showing him my artwork and stuff, and he's like, yeah, you're pretty good. And then I didn't hear from him for like months after that. I hit him up a couple times. I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, do you have that chance to like speak with the owner? And I forget what it was, like always some kind of like weird excuse or something, but But again, like, I didn't let it discourage me. I made that decision, like, I'm going to be a tattoo artist. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that, like, this is what my destiny is and, like, what I'm meant to be here for. And at this point, I had started, like, getting into manifestation. I found this channel called Eric at the Power of I Am. Shout out to him. I learned all the stuff that I know from his channel. He inspired me to, basically change my whole life and even make this video to an extent, because I do feel like more people need to hear this. Like, it's a very, it's a life-changing thing when you kind of learn how reality works and, like, how you can manipulate things in your favor. But anyway, again, I'm going on a little side tangent here, but fuck it, This is unedited, raw, authentic. We only do one take here on my channel, same way Eric does. But yeah, so again, I was learning kind of on my own, practicing on the fake skin. Watching. I bought like a whole course, and I know people frown upon in the tattoo industry, like, online courses, but fuck it. Like, if you're teaching me in person or online, it's like the same information. It's just more like condensed and streamlined on the course version. So I was like, fuck it, like I'm gonna learn this. Like, the first people that ever tattooed had to teach themselves, so it's not like it's impossible to do it. So I started doing it, and months later, I had completely forgotten about this fucking guy. And then he just hits me up on Instagram. He's like, "Yo, you still want a tattoo?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "All right, stop by the shop later today." I was like, "Okay, bet." I'll walk in the shop. The owner's there. I meet him, talk to him, and get hired on the spot. Boom, done. Like, I don't know if, like, I'm stressing this enough. Like, I didn't have to work for this. I didn't have to go tattoo shop to tattoo shop to tattoo shop asking for apprenticeships or if I can work there. This guy came up to me randomly on the street after I had to take a convoluted route to get home that I couldn't have possibly planned for. He approached me, he spoke to me, and now here I am. Full-time tattoo artist living in New York City. Literally living like the life I envisioned for myself when I was in middle school. When I tell you, everything can come in the exact same way when you de-emphasize it. Because let me explain to you how reality works. It's like I was saying before, you are God. Not only are you God, but it's like, let's really take a moment and think about what that means, what exactly that is, what you actually are. You are consciousness, right? You're not this body. You're not even your brain. Most people feel like, oh yeah, I'm not my body, but I gotta be my brain, right? That's where all my thoughts are. That's the thing that's running the show. It's like, no, well, when you die, quote unquote die, which, that's a whole other tangent. I might make a whole video on that, because death is just an illusion. Does your brain go up into, heaven or in the ether or in the whatever you believe in? No, it stays here. It stays with your body. There's something else that is leaving this vessel, and people call that the soul. I believe the soul and the consciousness is indistinguishable. I think they're the same thing, personally. But yeah, you are consciousness, and we move in consciousness. Consciousness is shapeless, formless. Science can't really explain what it is. You can move in consciousness like instantaneously wherever you want. You can be in the Bahamas in your consciousness if you want to. You can be in Barbados. You can close your eyes. You can be there right now, instantly. You can be. You can travel through time. You can go back to the past, live your childhood all over again in your consciousness. So it's beyond time. It's beyond space. It's beyond the confines of logic. Science can't fully explain it. That sounds an awful lot like God to me, doesn't it? So yeah, you are consciousness, and you can give anything to yourself through consciousness. And that's all you need to do. And you're already giving yourself everything through consciousness. You're just not aware of it. I'm making this video to make you aware of it. You know, when you get a little extra cash and your first thought is, oh, what's gonna happen? It's gonna take this away from me, keep me broke. You're giving yourself poverty in consciousness, in your imagination. Like you have, like, I'll give you, like, all right. So I saved up like $7,000 once when I first moved out. Just like the conditions were just like perfect for that to happen. I had a shitty kind of like hand-me-down beater car. It was like a bucket that my parents gave to me. You know, it's like my very first car after I turned like 17 or whatever, and I got my license. You know, it's just like, I'm not complaining about it. Your first car is not going to be like a fucking Porsche or whatever, but it was not in good shape. It was old. But it was paid off. It was mine. And my rent at the time, I found like my very first apartment ever after moving out of my parents' place, was this like older couple, and they were like renting out their like basement for like, I was paying like $400 a month in rent. So my rent was dirt cheap, all utilities included. My car was paid off. I had no car payment. I only had to pay gas and insurance. A fucking bug on my neck and shit. So yeah, I had very low expenses, and I was bartending at this like really busy bar, so I was making pretty good money. So I was able to save up like $7,000 like pretty quickly. And I remember like thinking like what's gonna happen, because I had a poverty mindset back then. I was like, what's gonna happen to my car that's going to cost me like absurd amounts of money to fix? And what do you think happened? I can't remember exactly what it was. It was some issue with like the brakes or something. I had to replace like the entire like brake drum, but it was like over $1,000. And then I believe I did that, and not too long afterwards I ended up getting in an accident that wasn't even my fault, and it completely totaled my car, and I had to get a new one. So it was just like all my savings are just gone. Like, you know, we go in our imaginations constantly, and like even though in that exact moment I had money saved up, I had very limited expenses, so I like that $7,000 is really not that much, but like for where I was at the time, like I felt rich. And what did I do? Instead of just existing in the now moment, in my victory and my glory of my 7K net worth, I immediately went into my imagination, and I took that money away from myself. I started imagining scenarios where, you know, all that money would have to be spent on some, you know, bullshit expense. Like, you see how we do that? I guarantee you that you could think of moments in your life where you've done the exact same thing. Whether it's with a girlfriend, boyfriend, when are they going to cheat on me? This is too good to be true? How often do you hear that? It's too good to be true. Maybe you got a perfect job and you like love all your coworkers, and like your boss is super nice, and then the job is easy and you're making good money, and you're like, what? When's the shit gonna hit the fan? When am I gonna find out? And then what happens? Your coworkers become shitty. Like, you're literally like, this is all, everything is coming from you. Reality is a mirror. It is only showing you yourself, your dominant story, your most common thoughts. All you gotta do is think in your favor. It's that easy. It's that fucking easy. I'll show you how easy it is. You see me here? I'm wearing a white bandana. I got long curly hair. I guarantee you, I just put that in your awareness, right? You're probably gonna see at some point this week, maybe even a month, who knows, you're going to see a guy out there who maybe looks similar to me. He's got long hair, maybe wears bandanas, sunglasses, whatever, beard, tattoos. You're going to see somebody that looks like that because I put it in your awareness. The channel I mentioned before, Eric, over at the Power of I Am, he does live streams every now and then where at the end of the live stream he'll put something in your awareness. One year, one live stream, he said like something like 3 orange cars, and now I swear to God, like, there's no way for me to, like, you just kind of have to take my word for it. And I realize that's, you know, maybe I'll record it. Maybe I'll just, like, record my entire day and I'll edit it down. Because I swear to God, every single day now, every day, I can't pass one day, I will see 3 orange cars. Every day. All the time. And this is, like, a perfect demonstration for how our minds work. Because, one, it's not important to me. I don't need to see 3 orange cars every day. So I'm not going out like, where is it? Where's the orange cars? I don't see it. Where is it, Jesus? You know, I don't give a shit if I see them or not. So they come easily. Same thing with angel numbers. Somebody put angel numbers in my awareness. I don't give a shit if I see 777 or 444 in a building or a license plate or on my alarm clock. I see, I somehow, like, the amount of, like, coincidences that have to happen. But always I somehow manage to look at my phone or look at the clock, or, like, I'll look up at a license plate as a car just happens to be driving by, and I'll always see repeating numbers. Always. And again, this is another thing you have to take my word for to an extent, but, like, why would I lie about this? You know, I'm not bragging that I see repeating numbers. I don't care. Like, it just is what it is. Somebody put it in my awareness and now I see it. Last night I could not sleep. I just, for some reason, I was tired, but I just couldn't fall asleep, tossing and turning. I finally was like, fuck it. Like, maybe I'll just get up and I'll try, like, I don't know. I'll try to take, like, a hot shower or something. Maybe that'll tire me out. I sit up from my bed. I look over, 333 on my clock. Like, just effortless. It just comes. I didn't have to go out of my way to find it, seek it. Same with the cars. Like, I can put anything in your awareness. I could put in, like, let's say purple school buses, and I guarantee you will see a purple school bus, either in person or maybe you'll walk into, like, a restaurant, one of those quirky restaurants that has, like, weird paintings, and there'll be a painting of a purple school bus, or maybe you'll see an image of one online or something. Like, you'll see it. The only way you won't see it is if you specifically go out and you look for it. Do you want to know why? Because if you go out and you look for something, you are putting out into the universe that you don't have it. You know, you are seeking something. If you're seeking, you, by definition, you don't have. It's in your awareness that you don't have it, right? It's not in my awareness that I don't see 3 orange cars every day. I see them every day. All the time. It's not in my awareness that I don't see angel numbers everywhere. I see them all the time. Your job, if you're trying to, quote unquote, manifest, bro. I don't really like that word, but I don't know what other word to use. But if you're trying to bring something in, materialize something into your life, you're tired of being broke, tired of being single, tired of having some dead-end job that you hate, you know, whatever it may be. You're trying to manifest love, money, wealth, abundance, health, appearance change, doesn't matter what it is. You have to make it as neutral as the angel numbers, as the cars, as the purple school bus. You have to not give a shit. And I guarantee you, the faster you can detach, the faster it will come in. When I just decided, I'm a tattoo artist right now. I was completely detached. I didn't have to see it out there. I just knew it internally. I knew what would happen. I knew it was my destiny. And what happens? Some guy comes up to me, random fucking person on the street, and boom, I'm hired. I didn't have to go to a single tattoo shop, not one, and now I work at one. How does that happen? How? There's no logic to this shit. When I decided I'm moving to New York, a fucking global pandemic had to happen to move me here. Like, the entire world will move to conform to your dominant story. Whether that's, I'm a loser, I suck, nothing works out for me, or I always get whatever the fuck I want and everything's always working out in my favor. So choose wisely. It is that simple. Now I realize this is a long video and I don't have hardly any subscribers, but I've already decided that this video is going to work its way through the algorithm and it's going to show up to who it needs to show up to. I'll leave my email in the description as well if anybody has any questions, because I know this video is kind of all over the place and pretty convoluted. And as I was saying before in the beginning, I don't really know what direction I'm going to be taking this YouTube channel in quite yet. I did start it with like sort of an art focus in mind, but fuck it, I might just do this kind of stuff. Like, I'm just going to kind of record things that come to mind that I feel like, divinely inspired to record and speak on, because I feel like this is important, because especially nowadays, I mean, we have so many distractions. Everything is kind of designed to sort of keep your awareness on negativity. You go on any of these social media apps and you scroll, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but like, it's constantly showing me the most diabolically negative shit. Same with the news. That old saying, no news is good news. They're never getting on showing you like somebody rescuing a puppy or helping an old lady across the street. It's always like war, poverty, genocide, famine, like the most, just turn that shit off. Like, why? I mean, I understand to an extent, yeah, like it's kind of important to like stay informed about your surroundings, but does it serve you to like be filling your head with all this shit, all this doom and gloom 24/7 constantly? Like, probably not, right? Go out in nature like I am right now. Be present. Breathe fresh air. Chill with your dog. Life is pretty beautiful if you allow it to be. And it can be pretty shitty if you want it to be. Like, if you want to focus on everything that sucks, and you can find plenty of that. But I'm telling you, you can find just as many good things to be happy for. And it's not even on some like toxic positivity shit. Like, there's an infinite amount of everything, and all of it is neutral. We decide what the meaning of everything is, so give everything good meaning. Everything's working out for you until you say it's not. Try it out yourself. You got nothing to lose. It takes just as much energy to think in your favor as it does to think against yourself. The same amount of mental energy that I spent going in my mind thinking like, all right, when's this girl gonna leave? When's this money gonna be taken from me? I can just as easily go in my mind and say, yeah, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna get a tattoo client, he's gonna pay me $500. Boom, done. Whether it happens or not, could happen tomorrow, could happen next week, next month. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Because I know I'm good. I know I'm supplied. I know God's got me. Because he's with me at all times. I literally cannot escape from him. So, take it from me. Like, I used to be the most, and anybody who knows me well knows I used to be the most, negative Nancy, like, fucking downtrodden, like, everything fucking sucks. I hate life. I hate being here. I was borderline suicidal at multiple points in my life. And now, like, when you learn this shit, it gives you such a level of inner peace, because even when everything around you looks like shit, like, there are so many things. I could go into more stories, but I don't want this to be like a 4-hour long video. There are so many things that appeared to be like the worst fucking thing that's ever happened to me that led me to something great afterwards. Like, you don't know what is going on behind the scenes to get you to where you need to be. You know, sometimes the old forest needs to be burned down before new seeds can grow. You know, that old wood needs to be burnt and you know, moved out of the way, and the ashes can fertilize the next generation of trees. You know, that happens all the time. Sometimes your old life needs to fall apart before your new one can materialize. So, yeah, I mean, this is super raw and authentic and a little bit more personal than I'm normally willing to be on social media, but you know, if it helps somebody, it helps. And you know, I don't care if it gets 10 views or 10,000. Like, I just hope the message is received and it makes sense. Actually, fuck it, I know it makes sense. I might make more videos like this in the future on this topic because it is something that I'm quite passionate about. I've been studying this for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now, when Eric first came across my feed. And that's another thing I forgot to mention. Like, this shit, like, I did not care. I was never like tarot person or a zodiac. I thought all this shit was like woo-woo bullshit, new age. Like, I said, I was a hardcore atheist. I was a materialist. I didn't believe in anything outside of the physical realm. And you know, believe me when I tell you, like, the things that have happened in my life have really shown me that there is something beyond this material world. I kind of, there's still some small part of me that cringes when I when I say things like that, because it sounds like magic, but it kind of is. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like, the fact that consciousness exists in this vast universe at all, the fact that we are the universe that came to understand itself. Your body's literally made from, you know, the carbon that came out of the bellies of dying stars, that rearranged itself into a self-aware being. That's kind of magical if you think about it, and, you know, for lack of a better term. So yeah, I'm putting this out there. You know, hopefully this comes across the feeds of, you know, somebody who does need it, somebody who might be down bad and, like, they don't know where else to turn. You know, I'm living proof that no matter how bad the situation may look, you know, I was on the verge of homelessness multiple times, just completely, like, I've been broke completely ran out of money multiple times. I've been dumped multiple times, like, struggled with love, struggled with, you know, career, with money, like, all that. I'm living proof that things can turn around, and they can turn around faster than you think. You know, you don't know. So just, everything's working out in your favor. Something good happens, good. Something bad happens out there, also good, because you don't know what it's leading you to. You know, take the power away from the outside world. It's all in here, as within, so without. So remember that. Stay sharp. My email is in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will try to reply. Like I said, I don't have very many subscribers right now, but, you know, I know that I'm going to have a lot more in the future. So take advantage of this time now where I'm accessible, and ask all the questions you want. And you have a good day, all right? I'll talk to you guys soon.